Welcome to our newest build, VIPER Strike of the MAMBA TRICKSTER. VIPER Strike of the MAMBA is likely the most potent poison skill yet introduced. A regular VIPER Strike is already great. Its uniqueness stems from the poison duration that you can scale up alongside your skill effect duration, resulting in long-lasting poisons, which translates into more DPS. The VIPER Strike of the MAMBA is especially potent if the character wields two weapons, both high in damage. It's hard to find a weapon with damage higher than the Rebuke of the Vol. With Poison Conflux from Poisonberry Tincture, this variable damage will count toward one big poison. Combine it with other sources of flat damage like the Covenant, and you can reach the dot cap, with the Alchemist's Mark, without using Swift Affliction or Sadism support gems. Remember that reducing skill effect duration also lowers your damage per poison, so these are undesirable. To gain even more damage, implement the Ambush skill with Perfect Agony Keystone. You can use Ambush to gain immense bonuses to crit chance and damage. The skill has a high cooldown, but it doesn't matter because the poison you can inflict also has a long duration. VIPER Strike of the MAMBA allows you to poison only non-poisoned enemies and combines both of your weapons' hits with each attack. For clearing, we can swap to a Bino's Kitchen Knife with Poison Proliferation and a skill capable of hitting more than one enemy, like Cobra Lash. You should play as a Trickster and benefit from the major defensive boons for spell suppression and resource recovery. You can also play as a Pathfinder with Lightning Coil. The build will remain very similar. Either way, your main defensive layer is evasion and suppression chance. With Plague Bearer and Bino's Kitchen Knife on the weapon swap, the clear speed is good enough. Single target damage is high after you buy Voices jewels, which are very pricey. Rare and unique jewels are the most expensive, other uniques and rare items are rather cheap. The most important unique items are the Covenant Body Armor and 2 Rebuke of the Vol swords. For clearing, use Bino's Kitchen Knife with another Rebuke or with the Squire Shield. You will also need Ashes of the Stars, it's the best amulet for this build. Jewels are important too. Forbidden Flame and Flesh with Toxic Delivery and the Voices should be your priority. For your VIPER Strike setup, equip 2 Rebuke of the Vol. VIPER Strike will apply one big poison based on the joint damage of both of your weapons. These have very high flat damage. Swap your weapon for Bino's Kitchen Knife if you're not up against bosses. Bino's has good stats, some crit chance with crit multiplier, life regeneration, and most importantly, enemies you kill with a poison will afflict all nearby foes with the same, strong singular stack of poison too. The Squire is a part of your clearing setup. It improves the Cobra Lash you swap to alongside the Bino's Kitchen Knife. The Covenant adds a lot of chaos damage to the socketed here VIPER Strike setup and increases your maximum life. It's a major damage source. Ashes of the Stars, the extra quality will positively impact a lot of your skills, including the VIPER Strike of the MAMBA, so we can safely recommend this amulet too. It's also good for your secondary setup. We plan to apply 3 curses: Alchemist's Mark, Despair, and Temporal Chains. This ring allows us to do that as the base maximum power charges number is 3. You can also spend 1 extra point on Infuse to apply a 4th curse like Enfeeble. Voices can host 3 medium cluster jewels, which is 1 more than a regular large cluster jewel allows you to, and that's a big advantage. Even the cheap Voices with 5 passives are relatively good. Get 1 or 2 of these. Brutal Restraints Trader will keep your flasks up most of the time. You will also benefit from upgrades to the notables in its radius. Look for increased duration of elemental ailments on enemies, poisons you inflict deal damage 10% faster, or Onslaught for 8 seconds on kill. Your tincture will not get you extra flask charges, but it is possible to have only 1 or 2 flasks and benefit from Enduring Suffusion. Get the Toxic Delivery set from Forbidden Flame and Flesh for 25% more poison damage on critical strikes. You have Precision, Grace, and Malevolence. Watcher's Eye Malevolence mod can give you a lot of dot multiplier. Grace may get you some extra suppression, and Precision has a good crit multiplier modifier. Your goal is to reach the dot cap, which is around 35 million DPS. Accelerate your poison damage with dirty techniques, wasting affliction notables, boots, and brutal restraint. Try to balance out faster poison and increased duration so that you can apply poison every time the ambush is off cooldown, that is 5 seconds. To gain more damage, seek multiplier or crit multiplier mods as it does affect poison with perfect agony. A blizzard crown may be good here due to its added cold damage, but any other rare helmet with eldritch mods for increased duration of ailments and increased effect of one of your hex curses will result in pretty much the same DPS. Look for basic stats like life and resistances. With Escape Artist, S is of value too. Maximum life, resistances, and movement speed are sought after on the boots. You can also be on the lookout for spell suppression, strength, and chaos resistance. For the eldritch mods, seek the Eater's one that makes your poison inflict damage faster. Gloves shall grant you some life, resistances, and spell suppression. There's also the Eater implicit for increased effect of your marks or the missing 15% chance to poison, and the XR1 for extra chaos damage over time multiplier. Belt can be a source of strength, maximum life, resistances, and various flask modifiers. What we recommend is a Stygian Vice or the Micro Distillery Belt, as we plan to have 2 or 3 of our flask slots empty for a better tincture anyway. On a ring, look mostly for maximum life and resistances. You can get them here in bulk. Other stats we've listed are much less important. Get some maximum life and missing attributes or resistances on the regular jewels. Critical strike multiplier mods for swords or when dual wielding, which you can find on Viridian jewels, are pretty much as good as chaos damage over time or poison damage duration modifiers. Large cluster jewel. We would advise against these and recommend voices instead, but if you can't get the best or second best voices, these will do the job. Look for the listed chaos damage notables. Medium cluster jewel. Low tolerance is the bread and butter of the build. Each of these notables increases your poison damage by 300%. Get as many of these notables as you can reasonably fit in the build, that's up to 6 with 2 voices. Wasting Affliction will improve your DPS with its faster poison, but Circling Oblivion will increase the poison duration. Tinker with both of these to fix your poison duration at no less than 5 seconds. Atziri's Promise adds chaos damage sourced from your elemental and physical damage, which you have a lot of from 2 Rebuke of the Vol swords. The magic Poisonberry Tincture is a core element of this build. With it, you're able to poison with any damage. It's the reason to use Rebuke of the Vol with their 1k mixed DPS. Get the magic modifier for increased poison damage on non-poisoned enemies, and one of the additional mods we have listed here. You can also pick up Enduring Suffusion for the increased effect of this tincture per empty flask slot. For magic flasks, use a life one with instant life recovery and bleed immunity, a jade flask with increased evasion, and a quicksilver flask with increased movement speed if you feel like you need it. Viper Strike of the MAMBA is a straightforward poison attack. Its poison duration scales up with skill effect duration, allowing you to inflict a long-lasting poison. This version does not allow you to poison enemies that are already poisoned, but it's much stronger. Link it with Deadly Ailments, melee physical damage, efficacy, unbound ailments, and cruelty, increased critical damage, or critical strike affliction support gems depending on your available sockets. Malevolence grants more damage over time and increases skill effect duration for a longer and more powerful poison. Grace adds and increases evasion rating, your main defense layer against attacks. Precision adds accuracy and increases critical strike chance, both will be important. Link these 3 with Enlightened support to reserve less mana. Despair lowers chaos resistance, which makes your poison deadlier. Temporal Chains Curse lowers the action speed of your foes and increases your damage per poison as it now lasts longer. Wither and curses will also expire more slowly. Steelskin reduces damage taken for some time or until it can take no more damage. Link it with Cast when damage taken, it will activate the linked spell after you take enough damage. Plague Bearer is a handy tool for improved clear speed. It deals dot around you after you incubate enough poison, which happens nearly instantly. Withering Step grants you the elusive buff and instantly applies 9 to 10, or even 14 with Ashes of the Stars, out of 15 withered debuff stacks after you link it to enhance support. Link these two with the increased area of effect support gem as well. The following setup should be socketed in your Rebuke of the Vol. Alchemist's Mark creates a caustic ground beneath the Macred enemy you hit. It alone improves your DPS by a third as long as the enemy stands on it. Ambush exerts your next Viper Strike. It now has 100% crit chance and plus 138% to crit multiplier. You can then benefit from Perfect Agony and the crit multiplier you've accumulated. The Viper Strike poison should last longer than 5 seconds, as this is the cooldown of this skill. Link both with enhanced support. The following setup should be socketed in your second Rebuke of the Vol. Wither skill combined with Withering Step will quickly apply all the 15 stacks to increase their chaos damage taken. Link it with Infused Channeling and increased duration for long-lasting Wither or Life Tap if you struggle with mana. The Cobra Lash setup can be socketed in your weapon swap setup, which is Bino's Kitchen Knife and the Squire. Cobra Lash is the secondary setup used for clearing maps, it's very good at it. Link it with Deadly Ailments, Void Manipulation, Nightblade, multiple projectiles, and chain support gems. If you still lack damage in here, use Swift Affliction instead of Chain. Kill all the bandits for the 2 extra passive skill points. Soul of the Brine King seems like the best choice. Use it to avoid being frozen and to avoid multiple stuns. Choose Soul of Abarath for 60% less duration of Ignite on you. The passive skill tree should accommodate a lot of extra passives from cluster jewels, so it may seem bare. Look for maximum life, poison damage, damage over time, chaos damage, skill effect duration, some accuracy, reservation efficiency, spell suppression, and critical strike multiplier. For keystones, get Perfect Agony and Ghost Dance to transmogrify it into the Traitor. Allocate Life Mastery for 50 extra life, Damage over Time Mastery for increased skill effect duration and ailment duration, Duration Mastery for more skill effect duration, ES Mastery to take 10% less physical damage on full ES, and 2 Poison Masteries, to make poison deal damage faster, and 300% increased poison damage on non-poisoned enemies. That is all for this guide. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. Stay safe.